Hello everyone, this is Direwolf20 and I'm hanging out in my test world doing a mod spotlight, an update to an existing mod that has pretty much gotten almost a total rewrite and is currently in a beta phase, and it's a pretty awesome mod, one of my favorites. It's an addition to Industrial Craft. It's time to spotlight the latest changes to the Modular Forcefield system mod. Hooray! This mod is cool. It adds a whole bunch of different force fields, and it's been pretty much rewritten completely. Previous had a lot of different blocks and a lot of different things, and this one is pretty much changed it to mostly go with a block item upgrade system. So I'm going to go into how all the things work, and there's some other really cool and neat changes. It's currently in beta, so I think there's one or two little bugs floating around there, but Thunderdark, the author of this mod, is doing a really nice job squashing those bugs, and he's constantly releasing updates and additions. So without further ado, let's get started checking out the Modular Forcefield system mod. Alright, so you can see I've already placed down the Modular Forcefield power generator. This is the machine that will convert EU, generated from a MFSU, currently hooked up by a high voltage solar array, just to make this easy to demonstrate. It'll convert EU into force power, and force power is what's used to generate a force field. And if you're familiar with this mod at all, you might find this familiar. Now, there's a pretty simple method of getting force power over to your force generators, and that is to craft some MFFS blank cards. You can see it's just an electronic circuit surrounded by paper. Pretty cool. All you have to do is place it down. Now, if we want to create a force field, we're going to need a force field projector. You can see the recipe here involves some advanced alloys and a new type of item called the MFFS Projector Focus Matrix, which is a diamond and some carbon plates. It gives you a stack of 64 of these, so you do get a lot of them for your one diamond and carbon plates, so that's pretty neat. All you do is place down your MFFS modular projector right here, let's say. Cool. And you'll note that there's a couple things to pay attention to. First off, I'm going to get out my wrench and demonstrate to you that this block has one little red dot on one side. That's, let's say, the side that is going to be the top, but it's also facing a direction, and we'll get more into what that means in a little bit. If we want to open this guy up, you can see it's a pretty complicated interface. All right, let's go back to our force gen power. Now, the first thing you'll notice is that there is 0 force power in this thing at the moment, and the reason for that is not because the MFSU is empty. It's actually pretty full and dumping all its power in here, but it's not requesting power. One of the required upgrades that you have to place in your force gen is the MFFS generator EU injector. This is the upgrade that allows the force power generator to take EU in. Once you've got that, you just need to apply a redstone signal, and it'll start generating force power by stealing the EU out. Now, this isn't dropping because I've got the solar array on top, but if we knock the solar array off, you'll quickly see it draining power. And that's exactly what's happening, is it's converting that EU from Industrial Craft into force power. Now, you'll also note there's two other upgrade slots here, and those are the following. You can put in generator range upgrade and a generator capacitor upgrade. Note that right now the transmit range is 8. That means it can only transmit its force power 8 blocks away. So this block is only about 4 away, so it shouldn't have a problem receiving power, but if I had moved it further away, it wouldn't be able to receive force power, and maybe I'll demonstrate that in a bit. If you want to upgrade your transmit range, just craft yourself one of these items, the force field generator range upgrade. You can see it's just a frequency transmitter with some advanced alloys. All you have to do is place one of those in the range upgrade slot, and you can see it bumps it up to 16. Now, these guys only stack up to 9, so you can only fit a stack of 9 in at a time per upgrade slot, but you can see now you've got a transmit range of 80. And you can put another stack of 9 up here to get, I think, a maximum upgrade range of 152. Pretty cool, no doubt. The other option, of course, is the generator capacitor upgrade, and that tells it how much force power it's allowed to hold. So if you want your force field generator to hold more force power, you just add that thing in, and now it can hold much more force power. But just take it out again, and you don't need to store as much power in there. So if you've got it set up to a pretty solid power source, you should be good. But if you want it to be able to hold more power, go ahead and use those guys. Awesome. Finally, we get to the link card part, and that is pretty simple. Just craft one of those MFFS cards that are blank and place it inside the blue area, and that'll encode the frequency of this force power generator onto the card. So behind the scenes, each force power generator has a magic ID number somehow, I'm sure, and when you place the card inside of a projector, it'll activate and connect to the the force power generator. So there you go. Now they're linked up and they're good to go. If you want, you can turn off your EU injector now, and this thing will stop pulling EU out of the MFSU. Of course, it won't pull it out if it's full, so, you know, not draining it if it's already full, but this will prevent it from draining any more as we start using force power. Cool. So now let's look at the MFFS projector, and you might think this is a pretty complicated interface, but it's really quite simple once you get the hang of it, and I'll show you guys how it all works now. Alright, so the first thing you need to know about this MFFS projector is the type mod. This is the thing that determines what type of force field you're going to have when you activate it. And there's 5 different types of type mods, and you can tell that they're there because they're surrounded by this red border. And what I've noticed with the mod is that things with a border around them can kind of associate with the border color of whatever needs to go in there. So these are the 5 different types of type mods you can do. The sphere, cube, wall, deflector, and tube. First, let's take a look at the cube. I just picked that one first because of actually a somewhat decent reason. We'll see. Now note when you put it in there, the way the block looks changes a little bit. All the different sides of it have these little circles on them, and that indicates that the cube is emanated from all different sides of the block. Pretty cool. And all you have to do is apply a redstone signal, which I'll just do with a lever, and it'll put a cube around you. Cool. Definitely awesome. And turn it off, and the cube goes off. Now, you also notice that there's this little interface thing over here. And here's where you can put some upgrades. For example, you might want to put the MFFS Projector Distance Modulator, which is just 6 of these focus matrices. And remember, you get 64 per craft, so you get lots of them to use. Just place a couple of them in here, and they can stack up to 64, but place them inside the blue slot there, and you'll increase the distance of the cube. How cool is that? Oh yeah, very neat. So that's pretty cool. Definitely increasing the distance of the thing works pretty well. Now if you want to change this to a different type of force field, just take the item out of here, and when you take this out, you'll notice that it quickly pushes out any of the items from here. And they've all got these little slash marks in them indicating whether or not the interface here can accept items. Okay, so that's pretty neat. So we can just put that back in and then throw a few more of these in here. But note that with the cube projector, I can't be placing strength modulators in, and when I do, it spits them right out. So these strength modulators don't work, and I'll show you what strength modulators do in a moment, but I just want to demonstrate that. Okay, but now putting the range ones in the blue slot, we're in good shape, and everything looks cool. Now there's a couple other optional upgrades you can place in here, and if we do that, I'll show you what they are. There's a couple different things. There's a defense station, which I'll show you in a bit. But I haven't totally figured out how that works yet. And the mob defender is a pretty cool one. And there's also a force field jammer, which is cool. And a couple other upgrades over here. You see there's the defense upgrade and all this other stuff. So let's try out the defense upgrade. So if I place the defense upgrade in the optional slot, see how it bumps it out? That means it's not going to work in there. So, alright, we'll have to check out the defense upgrade somewhere else. You've also got the sub-water upgrade. That one does work. And if you remember this mod from previous versions, you'll remember that the sub-water mod will remove all water from within an area. So if I were to just get a water bucket here and drop it down, and then turn on the force field, but actually turn it on rather than letting the laser get knocked off. There we go. The force field removes all water blocks from inside of it, which means that it's going to be nice to use underwater if you want to have like an underwater base. It's pretty neat to do. So that's the sub-water upgrade. Awesome, isn't it? Very cool. Now there's another cool upgrade that you can do. If I take the, there's 3 upgrades you can put in there. I'm just going to take it out though. That's fine. And let's check out some other ones. There's also the, let's see, the dome upgrade. So what a dome does is, right now, this thing actually goes all the way down underground, where the dome upgrade will only have it go up above the current area. So if I put that in there, note that the dome upgrade, there we go, it's working now. Note that the dome upgrade is actually only on the same level about as the projector itself, and it doesn't go below. So the dome kind of creates a dome above it, as opposed to going completely all the way around. Pretty cool. Just take that guy out, and then turn the force field back on, and now it goes back all the way down under the ground, and surrounds the whole thing. Sweet. And the block cutter upgrade is a pretty cool one as well. That guy is going to actually cut any blocks that it intersects with, and I think it only cuts with regular blocks. It won't cut things like an MFSU or anything like that, but it'll actually just kind of cut everything out so that it actually ensures that there's a force field all the way around the block. And this prevents people from digging underneath or something like that. So by activating the block cutter upgrade, it actually cuts up all the blocks underneath there. See that? And now if I turn this off, we'll head down underground, and you can see the block cutter upgrade has completely cut out the block in the area. Pretty neat. See? All the way around, it cut it out. Awesome. So just be careful with that guy a little bit. And the recipe for those guys is all pretty easy, usually requiring advanced alloys, the block cutter upgrade, the dome upgrade, and the subwarder upgrade. Awesome. And one other interesting one is called the Mob Defender upgrade. That's a pretty cool guy. If I were to put down some spiders, for example, just to demonstrate this, they're hanging out, no problem. But the Mob Defender will actually kill all enemies or mobs inside the force field area. They'll pretty much die instantly. Now that guy is the following recipe for the Mob Defender here. You can see you need some ender pearls and an MFFS area defense station, which I'll get into in a little bit. That's actually another block, so I'll show you what that does. But that's what that thing does. A little expensive recipe, of course, but you know, it's going to keep you safe inside, and it'll only kill enemies. So now that we've seen that interesting little cube defender thing, let's check out the sphere. And I'm going to just bump up some more upgrades here on the sphere and turn it on. And you'll see the sphere actually does kind of represent a sphere in that it's kind of, you know, as much of a sphere as it can be. So pretty neat looking indeed. Yep, that's cool. Pretty straightforward and very similar to the cube. Now the next one I might want to show you is the wall. Now the wall modulator, as you can see, has a lot more options available to it. So let's check out how all of these things work. First off, I'm just going to turn on the wall. Okay, it gives you one little block like that. Okay, straightforward enough. And if I bump up the range by 1, it's going to bring it one distance away from the projector. So you can see that there's actually a distance thing there. Cool. All right. Now if I turn it off again and give it a strength modulator, and a strength modulator crafted with 9 of these focus matrix things, all right, when that turns on, it actually bumps up the strength of the wall and gives it a +1 value. So it goes a little bit taller, okay? And the more strength upgrades that I place in there, in the right slot, the more force field blocks will get created going up like that. Sweet. Now these other sides here actually need to be used with the focus matrix. So let's check out how those work. All right, I'm going to take the modulator strength out of there and turn this thing on. Okay. Now the interesting thing to note is that this block has a little red dot on the front of it somewhere. That is the top slot, and you can see that because there's a little red dot over here. Okay. So to the right of the red dot is this side. Okay. And to the left of the dot is this side, and behind the dot is over here. Okay, so if I pump some focus matrix over here on the right side, let's say we put, I'll just put 1 in there for now just to demonstrate what it does. It's actually going to put 1 more force block over here on the right. Awesome. And I can just put, you know, a few more in, and it'll put a few more in over on the right. Oh, how cool is that? Now if I add strength upgrades down here, you'll see that it's going to bring that wall up and down, just like that. Awesome. And if I want this wall to go a bit to the left, all I have to do is add focus matrix to the left. So let's put 6 of them over there. Ta-da! Now we're starting to look like a wall. How nice is that? I love it. You can also put your focus matrix on the top and bottom, and that'll create kind of a wall in the other direction like this. See? So now we've got a wall going left and right and forward and backwards. Awesome. Pretty cool. And again, when you take your type mod out of there, it's just going to spit all those items out because none of them are allowed to be in there anymore without a type upgrade. That is the modular wall. Now, if you wanted to have a another type of thing, you could do this guy as the deflector. And without any upgrades, it's going to actually look very similar to the wall. And if I add some range ones in there, so let's just give it 1 or 2 range upgrades, it's going to go up 2, just like with the wall. Okay, now I just got to add some strength modulators in there, but oh, they don't work. All right, so strength modulators aren't allowed in the type mod of the wall. Good to know. If I put in some focus matrix, for example, I can just do 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? And let's see what that does. And remember, that's going to face it off in that direction. So let's turn it on. Aha, cool. Again, looks pretty similar to the way the wall works. But now if I put 4 of these in here, instead of it just being split, it's going to actually be like this, where it's actually something you can stand on. So the deflector actually creates like a square that's flat, as opposed to the wall, which is up and down and left and right and that stuff. And if I wanted to just add a few more of these guys in here, there you go. Ta-da! Now we've got a nice little flat surface to go on. And of course you could also, if we wanted to, use our wrench to change things up a little bit and just change the direction that this guy faces. So putting the wrench here and then turning this on, boom, now we've got a wall facing this way. So the projector force field will project a force field in the direction that it's facing. And remember that little red dot is represented here as the top of the force field. Awesome. And you can see while playing with these force fields so much, we've been draining some force power out of our force power generator. Awesome. So I'm going to face this guy up again. There we go. Looking good. Now, if I take this type mod out of here, and we get all our items back, and they just spit out of the machine, the reason they're popping into my inventory is because I'm standing right next to it. Let's check out the last modulator type, and that is the tube. Okay, notice that you can add some ranges to the tube. So I'm going to bump this up by 2 and activate the guy. Okay, cool. So that is the tube upgrade, is it creates like a tube around you like that. Now the range is actually how far away from the force field projector this thing shows up. So if I bring the tube in a little bit closer, it's going to stay nice and close right there like that. And by throwing a good number of these range guys in there, we're going to get a much longer tube further out from the range of the thing. Now I think this is a bug. Oh, no it's not. Alright. Cool. Why can't I increase the strength of this guy? It might be a bug that the strength can't be increased. Give me a sec. I believe that's a bug right now. You should be able to use the strength modulator to make this thing longer and taller than it is right now. So just note that as a bug. Like I said, it's a beta. And let's try this thing again. So you can see I've got the tube projector set up with a distance modulator and a strength modulator. Just flip the lever here, and you'll see that now the strength modulator actually affects the length of the thing. That was actually a bug, and I was talking to Thunderdark just a minute ago, and he fixed the bug and gave me a new version, and now it's working. So cool. Tube modulator working perfectly with the extra strength. Awesome. Now, as promised, I went ahead and put the deflector back in there, and I'm going to show you guys the defense upgrade. Ta-da! Notice that the force field is red now, and anybody coming into contact with it will start taking damage. Of course, my quantum suit is helping me out with that regard, but yep, lots of damage taken from that. So that is the defense upgrade. It'll hurt enemies that touch it, and that's a little bit different from the mob killer or the mob defender upgrade, which will kill any enemies within the cube. So just keep that in mind. Pretty cool. Now that is pretty much how you use the projector, but there's a couple other blocks here I want to show you and a couple other items that are all really neat. For that, I'm going to get myself the cube again, and let's give it a range upgrade of about, I don't know, 6. That sounds good. Yeah, looks nice. And I'm going to get ready to show you guys a couple different items. Alright, the next item I want to show you here, and you can really place this anywhere you want, but I'm going to place it right here, is this neat little device, okay? This is called the MFFS Security Station. Now, it's a little complicated looking interface, but it's really not too hard to see and how to figure it out. First off, you need an ID card or reader in this slot here, and then it will write to an ID card down here. Let's see what that does and how it works. Alright, so first off you need an ID card coder, and the recipe for that guy is a carbon plate, an advanced circuit, and some redstone. And to go along with that, you're going to need a blank card, and I'm only going to have one in my inventory for the moment because I want to show you how this works. Now when I right click on this, the first message you're going to get is not enough EU, please charge. So the ID card coder does require a little bit of EU. Now when I right click on it, it's going to go ahead and give me a success, and it created a personal ID card for me. Awesome. When I place that personal ID card in here, I get the ID card reader of Direwolf 20. So the security station now has Direwolf 20's ID card in here. Awesome. And if I want to write a security card, I just need to get myself another one of these blank cards and place it in the bottom slot. And now we've got a security card station encoded with Direwolf 20. Sweet. Now that guy can be placed up here inside this machine. Awesome. Now the force field generators that generate force fields out of this power gen can be tied to Direwolf 20's ID, so that when I open this thing up, boom, look at that. How cool. Awesome. So basically the way this works is, when you write the security card, this guy with this generator power is linked to this security station, okay? And whoever has access to the ID card in this security station is allowed to pass through the force field with this nifty little device right here called the Synchrotron Capacitor, or something like that. No, wait, this is the projector, yeah, the Synchrotron Capacitor. Awesome. And all you gotta do, first off, is charge this thing up. So I'm gonna get rid of the other one I have in my inventory. I don't know why I got two. Charge it up. It does use a lot of EU to charge, but not a terribly large amount. Okay, and when you right-click on a force field with this, it's going to first check to see if there's a security station card inside the force gen. And if there is, it's going to talk to the security station and find out who's allowed to travel through this. And right now it's set up that Direwolf 20 is allowed to travel through it, which makes sense in a single player, but this is also meant for multiplayer. And all I got to do is right-click on this thing, and boom, access granted, transmission complete. And I'm allowed to travel through the force field. How awesome. And I traveled right back through again. So look, it's working just great. Now it's using some EU out of the device every time I pass through this force field, so don't forget to charge it back up whenever you need. Awesome. I love that. Now you might be saying to yourself, well, I'm on a multiplayer server, what if I have a few friends that I want to let through? Right now, this security station's only allowing Direwolf 20 to travel through the force field. Nobody else has the ability to do so. Alright, let's take care of that. In order for this to work, we have to craft a device called the External ID Reader add-on. Not too hard to make, okay? External ID Reader add-on. And all I have to do is take my Direwolf 20 card out of here and place the external ID card reader, okay, inside the security grid. Now when I try to open this device, it's going to say fail, access denied. Oh no, I can't get in there. How does it work? Well, there's one block that's this little choppy block here like that. See, everything on every other side is a square, but this thing has a different pattern to it. That's the side that's going to use to look at the ID card reader. And all you got to do is place a chest next to that thing, okay? And look, I still can't get in there. And then place your own personal ID card inside the chest. Now I should be able to open up the interface. Hooray! And I can also use the force field synchrotron. Cool. Let's try it out. Okay, all I have to do is right-click on the force field with this thing, and it's telling me access denied. So I'm not allowed to travel through the force field with my synchrotron. Okay, just place my ID card inside the chest that's next to this thing. Now Direwolf 20 is one of the people who's allowed to travel through the force field. All I gotta do is right-click on it, and boom, transmission allowed, access granted. Cool. I like it. Now you can't go through a force field this way, okay, which is what I was trying to do right there. That's why I got the error. It's too strong. It's greater than 5 blocks. So you can't travel through more than 5 blocks of force field, okay, but you can travel through 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. So keep that in mind. Pretty awesome. Now, to go along with this whole security concept idea, you might want to really try and prevent people from getting anywhere near your base with the modular force field system installed. And while these force fields will help keep them away, it won't really deter them too much. For that, we might want to craft ourselves an area defense station, which I told you I'd get into in just a bit. Okay? All you gotta do is place this thing down, like so. Okay, now there's a couple different options here. I'm going to grab myself a Tesla coil, which is one of the weapons that works inside the MFFS defense station. Then we're going to need to grab ourselves 2 of these MFFS cards, the blank ones. One I'm going to have to write into the card writer, okay, and this will link this thing over to my security station. So now the defenses here will check with the security station, and because it's still configured to look inside the chest, it'll know that Direwolf 20's not going to be damaged by this defense station's Tesla coil. We can also get ourselves a link card because we need to power this thing. So let's hook up our link card, our frequency card here, and place it right in here. Cool. And then we just have to worry about the distance that this thing can damage people. Let's give it just 1 distance modulator, okay? So now the thing's up and running and it's working great. And Direwolf 20 isn't getting hurt because his ID card's in here, but let's see what happens if we take the ID card out, okay? So everything's good. Now if I get a little bit too close to this thing, I might start getting damaged. I just put a couple more range upgrades in there because I think I needed them to be a little bit more. Let's try that again. So again, inside this chest, I don't have my security ID, which means the security station doesn't recognize me. I also won't be able to access the interface on that block, and if I get a little too close to it, it's going to give me a warning that I'm in a restricted area, and it's going to start damaging me. Again, with the quantum suit, I'm protected, so not that big a deal for me, but it will damage people who are wearing less armor. And I can't access the device here, but all I gotta do is make sure my security card is inside the chest, and then it's like, oh, nope, you're cool, you're allowed. Now I can access the interface again, and I'm no longer taking damage. Sweet. And finally, there's one more option for damaging players who you don't want to get anywhere near your base. Maybe you don't want them inside your sphere, and that's why you might craft this MFFS projector defense station. That's an upgrade to, for example, the sphere projector. I just set that up, so you've got the MFFS sphere projector defense station in there, and we've got the sphere modulator type in there. Activate your sphere force field and everything's cool, but take your player ID card out of your personal ID chest of the security station and you're going to start having trouble. You are in a restricted area, but just get your ID card back in the chest and you're good. So again, pretty cool. And with that, guys, I think I've pretty much covered all the things he's got in the current version of this. You're going to want to go download the MFFS projector using the link in the description of this video. It's really a cool mod and a lot of fun to play with, and there's a lot of neat ideas and options for your force fields. So, hope you guys enjoyed checking this out, and of course, take it easy.